This is an ABC 7 special report, live from Fort Bliss.
It is Friday, April 11th, 2003. This is ABC 7's special coverage of the Fort Bliss Memorial Ceremony, honoring the 9 members of its 507th Maintenance Company who were killed in a March 23rd ambush during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Hello, I'm Gary Warner, and in just a few minutes we're going to be bringing you live coverage of that memorial ceremony here from the Air Deployment Facility at Fort Bliss, Texas. And of course, the reason it's being held in this large auditorium is because of the large number of people who are attending. There are also family members here today, comrades in arms, members of the El Paso community who simply want to join with Fort Bliss and the 507th and lend their support and their condolences on this occasion. The seating capacity here is between 1,200 and 1,400 people, and looking around right now, there are only scattered empty seats in this auditorium. Also, special guests arriving from outside of El Paso. Army Chief of Staff General Eric K. Shinseki is scheduled to attend. General Larry Ellis, the commander of the Army's Forces Command, the ultimate parent command of the 507th Maintenance Company. Sergeant Major of the Army Jack Tilley is in attendance. Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison and El Paso Congressman Silvestre Reyes. Also the parents of Ruben Estrella Soto, one of the soldiers killed in action in Iraq with the 507th, and Claude and Eunice Johnson, the parents of Shoshana Johnson, one of the POWs, whose whereabouts are still unknown.
Those of us here have watched Operation Iraqi Freedom unfold live in our living rooms on television. And with each day's news, you can't help but be amazed by the number of unique military organizations and Army units that are all players on the team fighting for liberty in that distant land. The 507th Maintenance Company is one of those essential players on that Army team. Its contributions are absolutely critical to keeping the Patriot Force running in combat operations. While the 507th is proud of its association with its Patriot brethren, it is deservedly proud of its uniqueness. There are only 9 other maintenance companies like it in our Army. Today, we celebrate the lives of our fallen teammates in the 507th and what they mean to all of us. Newbies always breathe some freshness into a unit. Private Ruben Estrella Soto was serious about his job and always willing to lend a hand. Known in the unit as Star, he never gave up on anything, whether it was a task or an individual, and loved to be in charge when the opportunity came. An El Paso native, Private Estrella was looking forward to being married when he redeployed home. Family played an important role in Private Brandon Sloan's life. With his friends, he frequently spoke fondly of his family and his hometown. He was eager to learn and to help his fellow soldiers in any way that he could. Brandon's lighthearted humor will be missed. His positive attitude, shown by his ever-present smile, was an inspiration to all of his peers. For a long time, the soldiers in 507th will still hear the echoes of Private First Class Howard Johnson calling them troop. One of the 3 Johnsons in the company, Hojo, was admired by all who knew him for his outgoing, well-mannered, and easygoing demeanor. A deeply religious man, Private First Class Johnson made an indelible mark on the company in both his exceptional performance of duty and in the example he set for others. Jamal Addison set the standard for quiet competence. It seemed he knew the right way to perform every task assigned to him. Specialist Addison was always willing to go the extra mile to help his fellow soldiers, whether it was on the job or off. A genuinely spiritual man, his peaceful and easygoing manner will be dearly missed by his many friends. Specialist James Keel truly showed everyone how to adapt and overcome. Although a computer repairer by MOS, Specialist Keel enthusiastically approached his assignment as the fuel handler. His fellow soldiers will always remember his work ethic, his willingness to help others, and his love of fast cars. He was proud to be deployed with the best, yet eagerly anticipated his homecoming to see his wife and his first child soon to come into the world. It seemed like everyone in the company knew Specialist Lori Piestewa. Maybe it was because Pi, as she was known, worked in the orderly room. But whatever the reason, no one will forget the broad smile and friendly disposition that she brought to work every day. She loved her car, was proud of her Native American heritage, and very close with her family. Sergeant Walters demonstrated to us what leaders should be. Squared away in every sense, the soldiers gravitated to Donald Walters, wanting to pick up some words of advice. Maybe something he learned during the first Gulf War, or maybe something he learned in his former life as a police officer. The company cook fed the soldiers a little more than just their daily rations. First Sergeant was cut from a similar mold, the epitome of a non-commissioned officer and a soldier. To First Sergeant Robert Dowdy, the soldiers came first because he knew that without the soldiers, the mission wouldn't get done. His soldiers respected him for his competence and fairness, loved him for his selflessness and caring, and appreciated him for his humor. We finally remember Chief Warrant Officer Johnny Mata. He always led from the front. Whether he was out front on our company runs, no one could run as fast, or in his coveralls performing maintenance with his soldiers, Chief was always there, working long and hard, leading and mentoring the soldiers, teaching them, listening to them, caring. On Wednesday, we all watched on television as our Marines helped the liberated citizens of Iraq tear down the statue of Saddam in downtown Baghdad. Liberation comes to Iraq through the determination of a mighty coalition team of fighting men and women. The 507th played and continues to play its part on that team. So today, we beam with pride when we say, first to fire, swift and sure, trained to fight, and always prepared. And then, for the 507th, we stand just a little bit straighter and hold our heads a little higher and say, just fix it.
Commander's remarks are coming up next. Colonel Robert H. Woods, Jr. is commander of the 35th Air Defense Artillery Brigade at Fort Bliss.
On behalf of the Fort Bliss community, I welcome our distinguished guest, and most importantly, our family members here today. I must also mention that today we have received letters from dignitaries in the Department of the Defense, a very moving message from Robert Riggs of CBS Dallas, the embedded reporter with the 507th, and families, we will be giving you copies of those. We also received a personal phone call from Lieutenant Colonel Fischetti and Command Sergeant Major McGovern. They're the commander and the Command Sergeant Major of 552 ADA, to whom the 507th Maintenance Company is assigned. You must know that Colonel Fischetti and Command Sergeant Major McGovern love their soldiers, and they are heartbroken they are not with us. They are proud of their accomplishments, and once the mission is over, they want to come back home to have closure with the soldiers' families. Hello, I am Colonel Bob Woods, commander of the 35th Air Defense Artillery Brigade. And as I stand here today, I am very honored to be able to participate in this memorial ceremony for our loved ones, our heroes, 9 soldiers who served with us here at Fort Bliss and who died beside each other on a battlefield in a foreign country. We conduct this ceremony here today to honor them and to provide our support to their families and friends. I also know that there is nothing that I can say that will change what happened. Every one of us wishes that our loved ones, our heroes, were back here with us. And when a nation goes to war, it is hard on everyone, regardless of where they are at. When a nation goes to war, soldiers are deployed on the front lines, while families and friends find themselves deployed in front of their television sets, desperately wanting to know each and everything that occurred that day. When a nation is at war, the phrase, "all gave some, but some gave all," becomes very real. The 9 memorials that are displayed here today represent some soldiers who were very young and others with many years of experience. I would like to speak to you today as a soldier and share some thoughts of what my fellow soldiers, our loved ones, our heroes might want you to know. I believe that first and foremost, they would ask each and every one of us here today to celebrate their lives and not to focus on their deaths. Remember the good times that you shared with them. Collectively, remember the many years of smiles, of laughter, of how you were there for them and they were there for you through the thick and thin over the years. They would want you to remember the good times, both before and after they became soldiers. The many years at home where they grew up, the good times in high school, the many discussions at all times of the day and night when our loved ones, our heroes, and you helped each other through the daily challenges that everyday life gives us. As soldiers, I believe they would want you to remember the very first time you saw them marching across a parade field. Their chests were out, their chins were high, their arms were in perfect rhythm with the fellow members of their squad. And we know that each and every family member and friend was desperately trying to find their son, their daughter, their friend, their mom, their dad in that formation. And once they did, our loved ones, our heroes, they knew that you wanted to shout to the heavens, "There's my son, there's my daughter, there's my friend, there's dad, there's mom, looking good." The families and friends that watched that formation march by, they knew that there was something different. They weren't sure what it was, but we soldiers knew that our loved ones, our heroes, had taken a major step from being young boys and girls into becoming young men and women. They would want you to remember the many stories that they told you about life in our Army. And we all know that each and every time our loved ones, our heroes, tell us those stories, those old drill sergeants got meaner, the food got worse, the field training exercise got longer, and the temperature got colder. You knew they were telling fish stories, but that was okay, because the laughter and time you shared with them when they told those stories is priceless. An aspect of those stories that soldiers tell is that soldiers of every generation can immediately relate to those experiences. That connection is something that makes life in our Army so very special. Men and women from many different locations and backgrounds, they meet, and over time, they discover they have a common tradition, one that many men and women have had before them. It is a tradition that is honorable, a tradition that is immediately understood by anyone that has served in our Army, regardless of where or when. It's a tradition that binds soldiers of all generations, because all of us know that life in our Army is both rewarding yet very challenging, day in and day out. It's a tradition that understands that meeting some challenges may result in a helmet, a rifle, a pair of boots, and ID tags displayed as they are here today. And all soldiers know what that means to the families and friends of our loved ones, our heroes. Part of the heritage that we have is the military salute. Saluting is commonplace within life in the U.S. military. We salute those we respect. And today, I believe it is appropriate for us to salute our loved ones, our heroes. Today, we should salute them for their leadership on a battlefield under the worst of conditions. We should salute them for their sense of duty in a cause that was necessary and difficult. We should salute them for the respect that they had for each other on and off the battlefield. We should salute them for their selfless service, which resulted in the ultimate sacrifice. We should salute them for their honor that they showed each other. We should salute them for their integrity, for staying sincere until the very end. And last but definitely not least, we should salute them for their personal courage. God bless our loved ones, our heroes, their families, their friends. Hoo-ah!
Colonel Bob Woods, the commander of the 35th Brigade at Fort Bliss. And now the roll call. Command Sergeant Major Robert S. Rogers of the 35th Artillery Brigade.
507th Maintenance Company, sound off for roll call. Sergeant Allen. Master Sergeant Garcia. First Lieutenant Ferguson. Private Estrella Soto. Private Estrella Soto. Private Ruben Estrella Soto. Private Sloan. Private Sloan. Private Brandon U. Sloan. PFC Johnson. PFC Johnson. PFC Howard Johnson II. Specialist Addison. Specialist Addison. Specialist Jamal R. Addison. Specialist Kill. Specialist Kill. Specialist James M. Kill. Specialist Piestewa. Specialist Piestewa. Specialist Lori Ann Piestewa. Sergeant Walters. Sergeant Walters. Sergeant Donald R. Walters, First Sergeant Dowdy, First Sergeant Dowdy, First Sergeant Robert J. Dowdy, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Villarilla Mata, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Villarilla Mata, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Villarilla Mata, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Johnny Villarilla Mata.
Present arms!
bagpipers from the 62nd Army Band based here at Fort Bliss as we conclude the memorial ceremony for the 507th Maintenance Company and 9 members who did not answer today's roll call.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the memorial ceremony. Please allow the families and official party to exit first, and thank you.
Fewer than 6 Fort Bliss chaplains participating in today's ceremony for the 507th Maintenance Company. They are a half dozen of the 2,500 chaplains in the United States Army. We have been out here before at the Air Deployment Facility at Fort Bliss on numerous occasions as Fort Bliss soldiers have gone to Southwest Asia, more than 4,000 of them so far. Myrna Membrila has been covering many of those deployments. Myrna, are you standing by now? All right, we'll see if we can go to Myrna a little bit later. Some 1,200, 1,400 people here for today's ceremony. If there was overflow, they went to other locations on Fort Bliss. They had some seats set up at Stout Gym, also on post, and at Soldiers Hall, Building 2, the headquarters building, for folks who were not able to fit in here at the Air Deployment Center. The 507th was actually a company of the 11th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, but its commander, Colonel Tim Glazier, is deployed now to Southwest Asia, so Colonel Bob Wood stood in for him for the commander's remarks this afternoon. I think you would agree it has been a proper and moving ceremony for 9 members of the Fort Bliss family who will be missed. You can watch a rebroadcast of today's ceremony tonight on Time Warner Cable Channel 7. That replay begins at 9 p.m. You can also watch ABC 7 at 5, 6, and 10 today for a summary of today's event. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Gary Warner, and this has been ABC 7 special coverage of the memorial ceremony for the killed in action members of the 507th Maintenance Company of Fort Bliss.
This has been an ABC 7 special report.